Joining us on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line on his birthday, no doubt, is the manager of the New York Mets, Buck Showalter. How you doing, Buck?
Hi, Richard. It's kind of sad, isn't it? A man doesn't have anything else to do on his birthday.
I would say the opposite. I would say this is a very special day and a special way to spend it. Don't you think, Buck?
Hey, it beats the alternative. We're not getting out of this alive, Rich. We're getting out of it alive.
Oh, man.
It's not a game you win. You learn a lot about a guy at midnight on a set with an empty Yankee Stadium, and it's about 35, 40 degrees?
It was freezing. That is correct, sir. You do learn a lot.
You had an overcoat. That was special. I learned something from you that you actually should look at the weather.
Also going through airport security in that day and age as well. That was great. Hey, Buck, I'm so thrilled you're back as a skipper in New York City. You're so awesome at it. I'm wondering what your thoughts were when you had that opportunity placed in front of you and what you're doing with it, Buck.
Well, it's an honor. Anytime, there's not a day goes by, Rich, I don't realize how lucky I am to be allowed to be around these guys in a great organization that's really moving forward for a lot of reasons, and great ownership, and there's the great leadership in the front office with Billy Epler and his group. They're just so many things. The only thing I have to worry about is just managing the team, and obviously that's a full-fledged job, and there's just a lot of good energy now. We understand we've only played 43 games. There's an eternity left, but it's good to. You always like to have people, feel good. We know there's going to be some bumps along the way, and there already have been, as far as some injuries and stuff. But people are happy they don't want to hear about your problems, and they're happy that you got them. That's like complain about playing a day game after a night game or a doubleheader. Trust me, there's a lot of people out there, don't want to hear about you staying in a nice hotel and flying on a charter plane and getting in at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, spare me. It's a great way to make a living, and I'm just trying to stay out of the way. And we got some good players that care, and that's what I'll say about them. And they're fun to be around.
So I imagine one of those guys would be Pete Alonso, who I've gotten to interview on this program, and he's just so dynamite. You've been around, as I mentioned, New York City and what it takes to succeed there. Why do you think it works so well for Pete Alonso? Buck,
I think he's just so sincere, Rich. He's just, he's the same guy every day. He walks through the door. I mean, think about, the things that he's gone through already this year. I think people miss how strong mentally he is. I mean, the guy flips his car 3 times. I mean, can you imagine as you're spinning around, your wife's at the red light behind you, they're making the move to spring training. And I thank God, I was kidding him later when it calmed down. I said, how'd you feel about doing those leg presses in the off season? Because he basically leg pressed the windshield out to get out. And then he comes over to the ballpark, and then who knows, a while later he's hitting the face with a baseball and hitting the shoulder and hit again. And I mean, I don't think sometimes we understand the intestinal fortitude it takes for these guys to climb in the boxes today with a slick ball in cold weather. And guys, a lot of times they're not intentional. Most times they're not intentional, and just they can't command the fastball, and they're throwing 95 to 100 miles an hour. And Pete just keeps climbing in there and competing. When he collides with the ball, it does special things.
Yeah, and he does seem to have the mentality where a fan base places so much into him and on his shoulders. He seems to handle it like it's nobody's business, Buck.
Well, I think he understands, like a lot of guys, and it's a good example. It's a responsibility. When you're doing something that's so important to a big fan base like ours is, I mean, it's part of your responsibility. They it's like I tell guys about autographs. When you have to worry is when they quit asking. Okay, when your opinion doesn't mean something, and Pete's, he doesn't want to do it necessarily, but he looks at it as part of his responsibility. You're hitting 4th for the New York Mets. You're going to be asked questions, and I think he handles it well. And what comes across, Rich, is he's just sincere. There's not any phoniness about Pete, and he's approachable every day by me, regardless of what happened the night before. And I tell you the other thing, Pete's looking for a weakness. If he's got one, he's going to attack it. He's going to attack it. He's not a guy that says, well, I hit well and heck with the rest of the stuff. He wants to be a good base runner. He wants to be a great first baseman. He's made, he's done well over there. He wants to be good at everything.
Buck Showalter, manager of the Mets, here on the Rich Eisen Show. You mentioned problems, if you will. What can you tell me about deGrom and now Scherzer's status moving forward, Buck?
Well, obviously I know a lot more than I'll let on, but you got to be careful about telling truths that hurt innocent people. But that doesn't mean you lie. You just try to hold on to some things that, you got to be careful about setting deadlines, and all of a sudden they don't reach it, and it looks like they're behind schedule, they're ahead schedule. I think around the All-Star break we'll start getting a lot of these guys back. We lost Trevor May, one of our key guys in the bullpen. I'm just mentally thinking about around the All-Star break, and that doesn't happen. One of the great things that you have to do as a front office and a coaching staff is think about the what ifs. Okay, what if Lindor is out for a month? What if deGrom doesn't pitch for a while? The season doesn't start. They don't stop the wheel and go, okay, we'll wait till the Mets get everybody back. And everybody's got issues, Rich. You could, you go to another club and you don't compare theirs is more than ours. You got a game tonight at 6:45, and they don't care. And but it's also part of the gig here. You play a sport that you play 7 days a week for 7 months or whatever it is to roll the dice in October if you can get there. And it's part of the gig, being able to overcome this stuff.
And you're used to, again, managing in New York, Buck Showalter, for an owner who is seemingly demanding, has a ton of money, and wants to win. Is there any similarity at all between Steve Cohen and George M. Steinbrenner III, Buck Showalter?
Oh, they want to win. Steve's a guy that eliminates excuses. And I love that about him. If you think something's important, I know he and his wife, it was very important to them to have one of the best family rooms in sports. And they went about doing that to make it a place where, families and people are comfortable. Things like that, the little things that really create a great karma around an organization. And, he doesn't, he likes it when the Mets win. So do I. A lot of people would love to have all owners want to win. But Steve, it's important to him that the New York Mets be good, and that's a short conversation. I'm in.
So, and I know you definitely didn't want to spend your birthday talking about the man signing the check, so I can, but I just, there's not many people on planet Earth who, managed for George and now is back in New York City for the other team, or the Yankees the other team, and you're on another. I mean, there's not many people. What Torrey did it, right? That's about it. I don't know who else do Yogi, right? I mean, I don't know who else. It's a very short list, Buck. It's kind of interesting.
Well, there's a reason why.
Why is that?
No. It's because most of us aren't this old. But Steve's been great since day one. I mean, he owns a club and he can do whatever. All the little things, the peripheral things that can, he eliminates those the things that sometimes challenge the organization behind the scenes, and he just expects a return for, the emotional and financial investment. I mean, he cares. It's important, and he likes sports and baseball. He likes it. You can tell, and it energizes the club when he's around. We like having him around. He knows the players. He knows what the end game needs to be, and we share that, and so does Billy Epler and all our front office. It's the challenge is going to be when you go through some tough spells, which we will. We already have, but you don't wallow around in self-pity. And it's like I tell the coaching staff and the players, this is your time to shine when you have some challenges along the way.
Three-time Manager of the Year, Buck Showalter, here on the Rich Eisen Show. So my birthday present to you is I'm going to wave a wand and make you commissioner of the sport. You get to make a rule change.
Oh, don't get me in any more trouble.
No. You get to make a rule change because baseball, I think, is in need of one. I think it's in need of one.
I was on that competition committee. Okay. And I don't know if I am anymore. Where what I did find out is a lot of things will go, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? And then you realize they've been doing studies and spending money on looking at it for 2 or 3 years, and you go, oh, okay. And then they tell you reasons why it's a little bit of a challenge, and they're trying to, look at things in the minor leagues. I mean, all the things that we bring up, why don't they do that? I can tell you a reason, and I can tell you that they've been looking at it for 2 or 3 years. It gave me a lot of confidence in the procedure. But, it's a very precious game that you have to be careful with. To answer your question, I think you're going to see the pitch clock come in. I think you're going to see a real hard look at the shifts, whether we can go 2 on each side.
Right.
I think that's going to probably be seen.
Would you like that, Buck? Would you like that to change the shift?
The pitch clock. I think the thing that I worry about is not necessarily the length of the game, but the tempo and rhythm.
Correct.
Of being played.
Action. Right.
It's just, and I think you're going to see a different pitching. You're going to see different pitching when guys are asked to deliver the ball in X seconds. And let's face it, 2 weeks, everybody will be complaining. The umpires will be the bad guys. And then everybody will get in line. They call a ball on a pitcher to make it ball 4, or they call a strike on someone for strike 3. People will be outraged, and then all of a sudden everybody will fall in line, and we'll figure out maybe why do we wait this long. Could you imagine having, an NFL game without replay? I mean, it's actually part of the entertainment package in a lot of sports. So,
right.
We look back on a lot of things. Why did we wait so long? I think they're really strongly considering the automatic strike zone. That's a real deep debate. We have so many things that can make the game reliable in every form. I kind of miss sometimes the human element, but not when it goes against you.
Yeah, I think it's the shift, Buck, that needs to be changed, because you're talking about tempo and pace of play and action. The shift takes away too many hits. The shift makes people try to hit over it and thus miss the baseball. The shift, I think, is the cause of all of it, personally.
Yeah, you're going to look at middle infielders differently. You're not going to get that big second baseman that you put out in right field. They're going to have a different athleticism to them. You're going to see some different players come into play more.
Huh. Okay.
And I think I'm a little concerned about if pitchers are chasing this velocity, which they all are, and they need a long period of time to gather to throw their best torque pitch. I worry a little bit physically with it, but I think guys will fall in line. I think you might see more guys more interested in command than velocity. I think it'll bring some other pitchers into play that weren't. But I do, I think it's coming whether we want it or not, and I think most people do. But there'll be some periods where people will question it, and that's part of it. It's how we make good decisions when we go, what if this, what if that? Can you put your outfielders in the infield and out? There's a lot of questions. Where's the line of demarcation where guys have to play on? Can they move while the pitch is coming? There's a lot of, managers have a way of kind of bending the rules. One thing I do miss with so much on replay, there's not much arguing with umpires much anymore.
Well, I mean, yeah, and the fact that the umps have to explain themselves on what the rulings are, like every other sport.
Guys, Rich, these poor guys, we go to home play every night. They're wired up. They've got wires. They've got microphones. They've got beepers. These poor guys, it must take. I was kidding yesterday to the guy it must take you. He said it takes me about half an hour to get dressed to come out to the game now. They got a tough job. They have a tough job.
Are you trying to get a call through the Rich Eisen Show, Buck? Is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to get a call tonight through by buttering them up through my program? Is that what you're trying to? Because if that's the case, I'm fine with that.
You never lie on your birthday. Yes, I am.
Happy birthday, Buck Showalter. I miss chatting with you. I'd love to do this more often. You be well.
Oh, hey, you're doing well out there. People like your show. It
Thank you.
Surprise me. I said it doesn't surprise me.
It just dropped out. Your call dropped out. Okay.
I got out there for a second. Just make sure your wife stays on the show. She's a big draw.
I will do that, Buck. You got it. She'll love to hear that. And, happy birthday.
Great job.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Skip.
Take care.
All right. God bless you guys. Thanks for having me, Rich. Take care of yourself.
You're the best, Buck Showalter. There you go. Buck Showalter. I told you, didn't I tell you? I told you. I'm like, wait a minute. They can get Buck?
I love it.
Do it.
I love it. Can't say it enough.
And he handles everything well.
Man, and and when we were getting hit
because
earlier
I know
in the year,
more than I'm about to tell you.
Which I love that fact. And when we were getting hit earlier in the year, there was a lot of hit by pitches going on. And the fact that Buck was just the first guy on the top step, he was ready to hit the field first, and
he can throw back at you too.
Man, this is so much fun right now.
He's old school, brother.
66 today, Buck Showalter.
8 games up on the Braves and Phillies.
Woo! And our 2 best players are not playing baseman.
And by the way, his other first baseman from back in the day is only a half game behind the Phillies and the Braves right now. Imagine that you manage the Yankees and the Mets, and your first baseman are Don Mattingly and Pete Alonso.
Very good.
Not bad, right?
Handled.
Not bad.
Those positions are handled. How about that? God, I love that guy. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.